everyone. 안녕하세요. My name is Jini, and I have the pleasure to speak about K-pop movies and dramas. And I know some of you recognize the song that we were playing during break time, right? It was from a very well-known drama called 도깨비, Goblin. So I only have 15-20 minutes. So take this as time where we can maybe prepare to discuss how we can implement Korean pop culture in our classrooms, in the lessons, when building rapport with our students, because I believe, and I think many of you would agree, that popularity of Korean pop culture is increasing from as young as, elementary school students to, of course, college students. And it's also always, it could be a good kind of interest conversation starter. So just basics of Korean music, drama, movies. I think some of you might know more than me, and that my slide, you have access to it. There's links that I put on there for some reading articles in your free time if you want to learn more about what gets brought up during this talk. Just a little bit about me. So I teach Korean to middle school students at the Fullerton School District. I'm also the teacher on special assignment for our district's Korean dual language program that recently started. And I also teach Star Talk language programs at nonprofit centers, Korean American Center. So I believe I am qualified to speak on this because I am an avid fan of K-pop, and ever since I was a little kid, that's me there with my friends singing along to K-pop. And I've also, before I started teaching full-time, I worked for various film festivals. So through this talk, I hope you will be able to identify some popular Korean music, musical groups, dramas, and movies, and gain a general idea about their global impact and gain ideas to implement them in your classroom. So then now, can I have some shares in the chat? Have you implemented Korean pop culture in your classroom in any way? What did you do? How do you do it? And perhaps even why do you do it? Can you take a few seconds to maybe share in the chat, please? Or maybe what you're curious about, what you hope to gain. All right, and you can share anytime during the presentation. And we will have a breakout session where you will be entering a breakout room. I would love for the participants to share with each other what ideas you have after attending the seminar, listening to all these talks, what ideas you have to implement Korean history and culture in your classes. So if you haven't yet, if you can make sure your display name shows your grade level, and I think that'll help us to determine how many rooms we might need to create. And thanks for sharing, Vicky, in the chat. So I think many of you might be familiar with this term called Hallyu. Hallyu means the Korean wave. So it's a term that's being widely used to describe the international success of South Korean music, film, TV, fashion, and food. Do you already recognize some of the pictures, the celebrities in the collage here? Yes, many students are really obsessed with K-pop, right? Awesome. Good. Just to play the music in the classroom, right? Just uplifts the mood. So this term was coined in 1990 when Korean popular content started to gain big fandom and popularity, especially starting from, of course, the neighboring Asian countries. So we'll start with K-pop. So K-pop, Korean pop, it's the popular genre of music originating from South Korea. In terms of what does it sound like, I'm sure many of you have an idea of it. It is a mix of different genres, many say. Hip hop, electronic dance, jazz, even rock elements are infused in different K-pop music. And the characteristic is that there are many members within the one group of K-pop music band, anywhere from 4 to even 23 members. And of course, our students who are big fans, they know every single name of every single members. Maybe you do too. And now there's this thing called the Kpop Formula, because it's not just that a very talented child becomes, seen by a music producer and they just start to record. It's now where students or children who are interested, they aspire to become K-pop stars, they undergo many years of training through entertainment agencies that, of course, they learn how to dance, sing, and even foreign language, because now the goal of K-pop bands is to expand worldwide. Some have been trainees for 10 plus years. They're famously known for that. And this Kpop formula began in the late 1990s. And of course, K-pop has its successes, and maybe the formula is the reason for their success. But there's, of course, also lots of criticism about the well-being of the trainees, even like mental health issues, because of the grueling schedule and expectations from such young people. So briefly, K-pop history, we can say, is that pop music in Korea was influenced from the US during the Korean War. Korean War broke out in 1950, and that was when the US troops were stationed in Korea. So for entertainment, for the soldiers, a lot of pop music from the America and even rock bands in Korea would emulate the sounds of the US. So that was when it became really cool to know and to be able to play music from the US. And the genre trot is rather known as the music genre in Korea that is more favored by the older generation. That was influenced by Japan's enka music, and that was starting mainly in the Japanese occupation era, which was before the Korean War, 1919, about for 35 years. And starting in the 1990s, the government realized that soft power is a big thing to have as a nation for the nation's growth, economic growth. So that was being prioritized by the government in the 1990s. So even the music industry also started to flourish with lots of support from the government and lessening of censorship. So Professor Seok-Young Kim of UCLA, one of the things that her research is on is K-pop and the influence. And as you can see, there's actually a YouTube video of her lecture from several years ago. Oh, by the way, the previous slide was showing this link to a good documentary. It's available for free on YouTube. It's about the birth of K-pop. And this one is a Vice video. Netflix has it, K-pop Explained. It shows the history of K-pop as well. So according to her, there are 5 Ks of K-pop that really characterize K-pop. And you want to have a guess as to what the 5 Ks might be? The first one is that it's kaleidoscopic. It's not just about the songs, but it's a multimedia experience. I think many of you would agree on that. Nowadays, when a K-pop group releases a song, it's not just just the song. Students don't even buy CDs anymore. But that students would go on YouTube and wait for the song music video to come out, because it's not just the song, but it's about the music video and how that looks. And students would film themselves reacting to the first time watching the music videos and upload that. And then that gets shared, and then music becomes more promoted that way. So nowadays, it's not unusual for the music video viewership and the view count to be talked about when the success of a certain song is talked about. And it's that the fashion also is a big talking point and something that fans really look forward to when their favorite star comes out with a new song, and just the whole look that they present. Next word, I know the actual word does not start with K, but corporate, but there's also a reason that this corporate is kind of that formula I mentioned earlier, where the K-pop bands have been produced through the certain K-pop band formula that's being run by different corporates in Korea. The next word is kidult. It's a fused word of kid and adult, signifying that fans of K-pop seem to be more diverse in the age. That, of course, young teenagers like K-pop, but also we have big groups of mom fans, even maybe grandma fans, of course, grandpa fans too. This is very visible if you attend a K-pop concert. You would see maybe groups of older fans, or maybe together with their kids, something that they could enjoy together. The next K is actually for the word Korean, obviously, but with a question mark, because not all Korean K-pop stars are actually ethnically Korean. Many members from the group Twice, the multi-ethnic group, of course, from Japan, I see a fan, Japan, Taiwan, China, and different groups. Lisa here of Blackpink, she's Thai, and this is Jackson Wang from a group called
GOT7.
Thank you. GOT7, I'm so sorry. Yes, he's also Chinese. And so it's not just Korean. So now it's definitely not just Korean, and the music themselves, the producers of the music, composers, they are not all Korean. So that aspect of K-pop. And last K is for keypad, because a lot of the K-pop groups, they are very connected to their fans through social media. Just nowadays, different musical groups all over the world do that. They communicate with their fans, but it wouldn't be wrong to say that lots of Korean musicians started becoming more active online faster, earlier, compared to other musicians from other countries. Some notable groups, BTS, of course, they've been around for a while now. I guess it's now been 10 years. They debuted in 2013. Many call them the epitome of pop music phenomenon. They are the best-selling artists in the South Korean music history and winners of multiple American Music Awards. And so far in history, Korea has always viewed Hollywood and the Grammys as something that was just unreachable. It was just in the dream, and American pop stars were the idols of Korean teens. But now it's the other way around, where BTS and other groups that I will mention briefly, they are now the idols. A big fandom is following from the teens in the US. And I know Jeff said maybe we should play BTS real quick during the break, but since we missed that, what is the most viewed part here, and I love it. All right, I'm sorry, I have to pause right there. Please continue on. Maybe after my lecture, please, not right now, yes. I always get the chills when I watch that part. I think that performance was awesome. And of course, that they addressed sessions at the UN, that was a very remarkable, a significant event for, I think, any K-pop group to be able to speak at the UN. Next group to mention, notable K-pop group, Blackpink, debuted in 2017. They're called the biggest girl group in the world. They also have many ranks that they were able to reach, US Billboard Hot 100. And their second album, Born Pink, was the best-selling album of all time by a female act in South Korea. And of course, their YouTube records, such as their single How You Like That, had the most views in 24 hours. They broke that record that was previously held by BTS. And just a quick view at their AMA performance last year. Blackpink. And nextly, notable K-pop group New Jeans. They debuted just last year, but I think many of your students are familiar with New Jeans. They have caused a sensation in Korea and worldwide. Major successes with their songs listed here. They're called the mega blue chip in the ad industry because all the companies want them. They have such a big influence and following by the young generation, but also the generation that can actually spend, the people in their 30s and 40s. And New Jeans was ranked, their EP New Jeans was ranked by Rolling Stone as one of the best albums of 2022. Let's take a quick look at their music video. And perhaps my slide could be useful in your classrooms, if you want to do a quick quiz with your students for fun. Name that K-pop group. Do you recognize them? Please yell out or type the group's name in the chat. Because of time, I'll go through this real quickly. This is, of course,
BTS.
Thank you. Blackpink. Guess. Actually, surprise! This is the infamous NCT. Twice. Red Velvet. And great job, but how about some older groups? Older as in maybe they were more popular in the earlier mid 2000s, early 2000s. Girls' Generation. Big Bang, but one member, he was a criminal. He had some bad things that he did, so I'm gonna kind of blur him out right there. And of course, Wonder Girls. And everyone familiar with his face too? Psy. Some might argue that Psy does not belong in the K-pop category, but I put him there because he actually did bring more attention to the K-pop industry through his song Gangnam Style in 2012. Now on to movies. So the industry success of South Korean movies, it really began in the 1990s. Once again, the military regime ended and censorship laws eased. And major investments through conglomerates or chaebols like Samsung, CJ Hyundai, that was also a big help to the movie industry. Shiri from 1999 is considered the first Korean successful Hollywood-style big-budget blockbuster. So the saying is that in the early 1990s, South Korea saw how big American movies were doing, how great they were doing with their box office sales. So they said, wow, one movie of Jurassic Park is making more money than 2 years of selling Hyundai cars. We need to spend more money on movies. So the government agreed with that idea, and that was when more support went towards the industry. Some notable Korean movies with successes in the US. Parasite, I think many of you probably saw it. It won the Oscar for Best Picture in 2020. And not just Parasite, but since 2000, several Korean films have been winning and gaining attention through various film festivals internationally. Another notable movie for success in the US would be Minari in 2020, directed by a Korean-American filmmaker and about a Korean-American family story. And the actress Yoon Yo-jung of Minari, she received the Best Supporting Actress in 2021, which was a big deal for the Korean movie stars. And we also have K-drama. Several Korean television series have been being distributed via Netflix. Of course, Squid Game in 2021. It's still Netflix's most watched series as of April 2023. And the actors, many of them gained international fame, especially Lee Jung-jae. He won the Outstanding Lead Actor, an Emmy for that. And since the pandemic, many Korean dramas have been produced and gaining more popularity on just throughout worldwide. Some to mention Hellbound, All of Us Are Dead, Extraordinary Attorney Woo, and The Glory, which finished just this past March. Netflix is definitely a major player on Korean drama's growth. They have a worldwide viewership of 200 million paid subscribers, and Netflix Korea launched in 2015. And recently, this was just last April with the Korean President Yoon, with the Netflix CEO, they announced that the investment of 2.5 billion in Korean content will be held over the next 4 years, which is up from the 460 million from 2021. And many wonder, how come Korean dramas were so popular? Many articles state that one reason is that the genre, it fuses many different genres of, it's not just really good action, but there's also a good romance. And there's also kind of like family struggles and maybe even like some social issues that really transcend across countries. And that the producers and the writers, they really have great stories to tell. It's just that now it's coming out. And the production value, they spend a lot of money on production and very detail oriented, from fashion to the little props and the editing styles. And so one example is the high production cost, 1.7 million per episode on 2019. This is like the Korean zombie series Kingdom. This was Netflix's first Korean original series. They spent 1.7 million per episode on Kingdom. I'm also curious if you are a big Korean drama fan and you have your opinions about why you think Korean dramas have been gaining success in the recent years. And definitely in our schools, the language learning has been an influence of Korean pop culture. Many media talk about it. This is from Duolingo. Duolingo didn't reveal the exact number of their users, but this is the mark of when Squid Game was released. Duolingo states that 2 weeks after the release of Squid Game on Netflix, there was a spike of Korean language learners on their app, which was interesting because they've never seen such spike happen in their previous years. And this graph shows number of US colleges offering Korean. It rose, and you see it's a big growth, 68% since 2002. So during the breakout session, if you can please share, not just maybe since we just talked about Korean pop culture, maybe share some ideas that you have about implementing them in your classrooms. And since I did see some questions in the chat, let me go back up a little bit. I think someone asked, what happened to Psy? That's right. He's still active. He's actually now more like a CEO, a producer of younger musicians in Korea. But he's still a major player, a big influence. But he hasn't really been performing himself or releasing new music for a few years now. And thanks for sharing about how you also got into Korean music, Korean dramas. I think since we now know each other, I think we can continue on the conversations. I'd love to share my resources. I teach Korean language. Of course, I cannot help but use Korean pop culture in my classes. So I would love to share any materials. Are soap operas still popular in the US? My mother and her friends love Korean soap operas here in the Hawaii. We're not Korean. So yeah, Korean soap operas, like Korean dramas, are they still popular in the US? Yeah, I believe so. And some articles also talk about the fact that there's also the telenovelas, right, in the Hispanic countries. Those are the dramas and Bollywood dramas. They have kind of similar elements that the Korean dramas carry, so that the audience are already kind of ready for content like that. So that was my quick presentation on Korean music, dramas, and movies. If you have any questions, please email me. Maybe follow my Instagram. Maybe we can stay in touch. I sometimes post what I do in the classroom for any idea sharing. I love to connect with you as well.